In the quiet city of Omaha, Nebraska, on August 30th, 1930, a boy was born who would one day become one of the richest men in the world. His name was Warren Edward Buffett. Few could have imagined that this child, born during the depths of the Great Depression, would grow up to be the Oracle of Omaha, a man whose name is now synonymous with wealth, wisdom, and the art of investing. But Buffett's early years were far from glamorous. His story begins in a modest home, with humble circumstances and a burning curiosity that set him apart from other children his age. Warren's father, Howard Buffett, was a stockbroker who later became a congressman. His mother, Layla, was a homemaker who, during the Great Depression, sometimes skipped meals so that her children could eat. Warren grew up in America where money was scarce, jobs were fragile, and families struggled to survive. That backdrop shaped him in profound ways. He quickly learned that money was something precious, something you had to respect, manage, and protect. From the very beginning, young Warren showed a fascination with numbers and business. At the age of just 6, he made his first entrepreneurial move. He bought packs of Coca-Cola from his grandfather's grocery store and sold them door to door for a small profit. That sense of buying low and selling high, of creating value from opportunity, became part of his DNA. By the age of 11, when most children were still figuring out schoolyard games, Warren made his very first stock market investment. He purchased 3 shares of City Service preferred stock, 2 for himself and 1 for his sister Doris, at $38 per share. But the excitement of becoming a shareholder quickly turned into a painful lesson. Almost immediately after he bought the shares, the stock price dropped to $27. For a boy of 11, that was crushing, but Warren held on. Eventually, the stock rose again, and when it reached $40, he sold it, making a small profit. At first glance, it seemed like a victory. But soon after he sold, the stock price skyrocketed to over $200. That moment burned itself into Warren's memory. He realized the danger of impatience and the cost of selling too soon. It was a lesson that would define his entire investment philosophy. Be patient, think long-term, and let compounding work its magic. Warren wasn't just interested in numbers. He was obsessed with business itself. By the age of 13, he was delivering newspapers across multiple routes, waking up before dawn every day. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid off. He kept meticulous records of his earnings, his expenses, and even his mileage. That discipline allowed him to save over $1,200 by the age of 15, a remarkable sum at the time. Instead of spending it frivolously, he made a bold decision. He invested $1,200 into 40 acres of farmland in Nebraska, which he rented out to farmers. At an age when most kids were barely starting high school, Warren Buffett was already earning passive income. His teenage years were filled with more ventures. He sold chewing gum, Coca-Cola, magazines, golf balls, and even set up a pinball machine business with a friend. They placed machines in local barbershops and split the profits. Within months, their small operation expanded to several shops, generating consistent income. Eventually, Warren sold his share of the business for $1,200, another early lesson in building and exiting ventures. Every step of the way, he was learning not just how to make money, but how to multiply it. But Warren wasn't only focused on making money. He was also deeply curious about how money worked. As a teenager, he read every book on investing he could find in the Omaha Public Library. One book changed his life forever, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. In Graham's philosophy, Warren discovered the blueprint for his future: value investing. Graham's approach emphasized buying companies for less than their intrinsic value, focusing on fundamentals and ignoring market noise. For Warren, this was like discovering gold. After high school, Buffett attended the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, but he wasn't satisfied there. Eventually, he transferred back to the University of Nebraska, where he graduated at the age of 19. Despite his extraordinary knowledge of investing, Warren faced rejection when he applied to Harvard Business School. The admissions committee thought he was too young, too inexperienced. But that rejection turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to him. Instead of Harvard, Warren enrolled at Columbia Business School, where his idol Benjamin Graham was teaching. There, Buffett became one of Graham's star students. He soaked up every lesson, every piece of wisdom, and built a foundation that would guide his decisions for decades to come. Graham's principle, that the stock market is like a voting machine in the short term, but a weighing machine in the long term, stuck with Buffett forever. By the time Warren completed his education, he was not just another young man with a degree. He was already a seasoned businessman, investor, and entrepreneur, equipped with the knowledge, discipline, and patience to carve his path. He had a clear vision of what he wanted, to build wealth through intelligent, long-term investments. But he didn't yet know that his journey would take him to the heights of global finance, where his decisions would influence markets, inspire generations, and turn him into a living legend. At the age of 21, Buffett returned to Omaha, eager to start his career. But just like in his childhood investments, the road ahead wouldn't be smooth. The next chapter of his story would be filled with risk-taking, bold decisions, and the building of his empire, one company, one investment at a time.